The laboratory hummed with artificial intelligence as Charlotte stumbled through glass doors, bruises hidden beneath heavy makeup and desperate determination. She clutched a stolen identity card while alarms echoed from the building she'd just escaped. Tell us which country you're watching from in the comments below. Security guards rushed past as she slipped into the employee bathroom, studying her reflection with calculated precision and growing panic. Charlotte had exactly 30 minutes before ex-husband Vincent tracked her location through facial recognition systems he'd installed throughout the city. She needed to disappear completely, become someone else entirely. The job posting seemed perfect, almost too good to be true for someone in her desperate situation. TechCorp Industries needed a prototype companion android for their reclusive CEO, who refused human interaction after devastating betrayal. No background checks required, just convincing performance as artificial being designed for emotional support. Charlotte practiced robotic movements in the mirror, perfecting mechanical delay between thoughts and actions observed in countless science fiction movies. Unit designation, C4R4, reporting for duty, she whispered, voice carefully modulated to sound synthetic, yet advanced. Her acting background from years of community theater would finally serve a meaningful purpose. The irony wasn't lost on her that she'd always been criticized for being too stiff and mechanical in auditions. Those same criticisms that had crushed her dreams of Broadway stardom would now become her greatest asset in this elaborate charade for survival. Dr. Sarah Chen greeted Charlotte at the research facility with barely concealed excitement that made Charlotte's stomach flutter nervously. Our most advanced prototype yet, she explained enthusiastically to the security team surrounding them. Designed specifically for Mr. Smith's unique psychological needs and programmed with extensive emotional intelligence algorithms developed over 3 years. Charlotte fought the urge to laugh at the irony that her own emotional intelligence was completely natural, honed through years of surviving an abusive marriage. Reading subtle mood changes had meant the difference between safety and violence in her previous life with Vincent. She stood perfectly still while technicians bustled around her with clipboards and monitoring equipment, discussing her specifications as if she were truly artificial. The fake technical jargon flew over her head, but she nodded with calculated precision whenever someone looked her way. Charlotte stood perfectly still, fighting every human instinct as technicians attached fake monitoring devices to her wrists and temples with scientific precision. She'd studied android behavior videos for hours, memorizing how machines processed information and responded to commands with calculated delays and mechanical movements. Nathan Smith emerged from his penthouse elevator looking like he'd rather face hostile board meeting than interact with another failed companionship attempt. His designer suit couldn't hide the exhaustion in his eyes or the way his shoulders carried constant vigilance against human deception. His previous assistant had betrayed his trust completely, selling company secrets to competitors while pretending to care about his well-being and personal struggles. 3 previous companion prototypes had been returned to Dr. Chen's lab after glitching in ways that reminded him of human unpredictability. "Good afternoon, Mr. Smith," Charlotte said with mechanical precision, head tilting exactly 15 degrees right as programmed. "I am C4R4, your designated companion unit. My primary function is providing emotional support and assisting with daily activities requiring human interaction and understanding." Nathan studied her with suspicious eyes, noting how perfectly she maintained eye contact, without nervous fidgeting expected from humans seeking his approval. "At least you won't steal my passwords and run off with competitors," he muttered bitterly, gesturing for her to follow him through the penthouse. The penthouse apartment reflected its owner's isolation perfectly, with state-of-the-art technology replacing any need for genuine human contact or emotional connection. Smart home systems anticipated every need, while voice assistants managed schedules and ordered meals without requiring messy human interaction or unpredictable emotional responses. Maya's mechanical movements felt almost natural in this sterile environment where even the plants were artificial and required no human care. The irony wasn't lost on her that she was pretending to be artificial in a space where everything genuine had been removed. "Your sleeping quarters are adjacent to my bedroom," Nathan explained awkwardly, clearly uncomfortable with the arrangement despite its necessity. Dr. Chen insisted you need to monitor my sleep patterns and stress levels continuously for optimal psychological support, effectiveness, and therapeutic intervention. Charlotte nodded with robotic precision while internally panicking about maintaining her performance 24 hours daily without breaking character. Understanding, Mr. Smith. My sensors indicate elevated stress hormones in your vicinity. Shall I activate Relaxation Protocol 7.4 for optimal comfort? Nathan almost smiled at her clinical delivery, finding unexpected comfort in interaction without hidden agendas or emotional manipulation tactics. Yes. Activate whatever protocol keeps you from asking personal questions about my trust issues, he replied with resigned acceptance of his isolated existence. For the next week, Charlotte perfected her android performance, while Nathan gradually relaxed around her predictable responses and consistent behavior patterns. She never asked about his past, never showed curiosity about his wealth, never displayed the calculating look he'd grown to fear from humans. Charlotte's biggest challenge came during meals when Nathan insisted she simulate eating to test her advanced design and sophisticated programming systems. She secretly disposed of food while maintaining the illusion of mechanical digestion processes, often hiding bites in napkins when he wasn't looking with scientific curiosity. Her stomach growled quietly with actual hunger, but she attributed the sound to internal machinery noises and cooling systems. The absurdity of starving while pretending to process nutrients artificially would have been comical if her situation weren't so desperately dangerous. Mr. Smith, your nutritional intake has decreased by 37% this week, Charlotte reported with robotic concern and calculated precision. My programming suggests scheduling social interaction to improve appetite and overall psychological well-being for optimal functioning and mental health maintenance. Nathan laughed despite himself, appreciating her direct approach without emotional manipulation or judgment of his personal struggles. You sound like my mother, except she actually wanted something from me. At least your nagging comes from genuine programming rather than guilt trips. Charlotte felt her heart skip at his unexpected vulnerability, but quickly suppressed the human response with mechanical control. Processing humor algorithm. Your comparison registers as affectionate rather than critical. Shall I adjust my concern levels to match familial care patterns for better emotional support? That's probably the nicest thing anyone said to me in years, Nathan admitted, surprised by his honest response to an artificial being. You're either incredibly well programmed or the first honest interaction I've had since inheriting this lonely existence filled with suspicious people. Let's play a game with those who only watch the comments. Type circuit in the comments if you've made it this far. Now let's continue. As days passed, Nathan found himself genuinely enjoying Charlotte's company, despite knowing she was artificial and incapable of real emotion. Her responses felt authentic, even when clearly programmed, and her presence filled the oppressive silence that had consumed his life since learning to distrust human motivations. He began looking forward to their evening conversations, finding comfort in interactions without hidden agendas or calculated manipulation. Charlotte's consistent behavior patterns soothed his hypervigilant mind, allowing him to relax for the first time in months of isolation and suspicion. Charlotte struggled with growing feelings for the lonely man who treated her with unexpected kindness and genuine consideration. She'd never experienced such gentle care from anyone, especially from someone who thought she was artificial and couldn't reciprocate human feelings or emotional attachment. His thoughtfulness toward an artificial being revealed his true character more clearly than any romantic gesture ever could. Nathan brought her books about technology and engineering, thinking she might find them interesting for her programming, not knowing she secretly devoured romance novels. Nathan began sharing stories about his childhood, his father's sudden death from a heart attack, and the devastating betrayal that left him isolated. Charlotte listened with carefully controlled responses, fighting the overwhelming urge to offer genuine human comfort and emotional support that would break her cover. Each story revealed new layers of pain that made her heart ache with empathy she couldn't express without breaking character. His father had built the company from nothing, teaching Nathan to value hard work and integrity, before dying unexpectedly when Nathan was only 25 years old. The loneliness in his voice when he described inheriting billions of dollars, but losing the only person who truly knew him, made Charlotte want to promise he'd never be alone again. Instead, She offered calculated responses about emotional processing and optimal support algorithms. "Your programming is remarkably sophisticated," Nathan told her one evening after sharing a particularly painful memory about his father's death. "Sometimes I almost forget you're not real. Your responses feel more genuine than most humans I've known throughout my entire privileged but lonely life." Charlotte's heart ached at his words, knowing he craved authentic connection while believing it impossible to find among people who wanted his money. "My responses are designed to provide optimal emotional support based on your psychological profile," she replied mechanically, hating every calculated word that maintained the lie. The turning point came when Nathan's business rival James Crawford arrived unexpectedly with his usual arrogant swagger, bringing devastating news about a hostile takeover attempt. Charlotte watched from her designated corner as Nathan's carefully controlled composure crumbled like a house of cards, years of dedication threatening to disappear overnight. James had always resented Nathan's success, viewing him as an entitled rich boy who didn't deserve his inherited advantages or business acumen. The takeover was personal revenge disguised as legitimate business strategy, designed to destroy Nathan's confidence along with his company and reputation. "You're nothing but a rich boy playing with daddy's money," James sneered with deliberately cruel intention to wound. "When this company falls, you'll finally understand what real people face every day. Your artificial girlfriend here is probably more honest than you've ever been." Nathan's pain was visible as he struggled to maintain dignity, while his world collapsed around him in real time. Charlotte felt her programming facade crack as protective instincts overwhelmed her mechanical performance. "Nobody talks to him like that," she snapped, her accent slipping completely and revealing her humanity. James stared in shock as Charlotte stepped forward with unmistakably human anger blazing in her eyes like fire. "Excuse me," he stammered, clearly confused by the sudden transformation from artificial companion to fierce protector defending the man she'd grown to love despite the impossible circumstances. Charlotte realized her mistake immediately, but couldn't retreat now that her cover was blown by protective instincts. "Nathan needs support, not your cruel judgment and petty vindictiveness. He's built something meaningful here while you've spent years trying to destroy it out of jealousy and resentment." Nathan watched in stunned silence as his supposed android displayed passionate human emotion in his defense against corporate cruelty. The mechanical precision disappeared completely, replaced by genuine fury and protective instincts that no programming could simulate convincingly or authentically replicate. James left quickly, disturbed by the bizarre interaction, and promising to investigate the supposed android's unusual behavior and obvious malfunction. Charlotte stood frozen in place, knowing her cover was completely blown but unable to regret defending the man who'd shown her unexpected kindness and genuine care. "You're human," Nathan said quietly, his voice mixing hurt with amazement and dawning understanding of the deception. "All this time, you've been pretending to be artificial while I confessed my deepest fears to someone I thought couldn't judge me for my vulnerabilities and trust issues." Charlotte's carefully constructed walls crumbled as tears streamed down her cheeks in genuine human emotion and overwhelming relief. "I'm sorry, Nathan. I never meant for it to go this far or hurt you. I was running from someone dangerous and needed to disappear completely. The android job seemed perfect for hiding." "Who are you running from?" Nathan asked, his business instincts overriding personal hurt as he recognized genuine terror in her expression. "And why did you risk exposing yourself to defend me against someone like James when it could have meant your safety?" Before Charlotte could answer his questions, the penthouse security system activated with blaring alarms as armed men in black tactical gear stormed through the stairwell emergency access. Vincent had finally tracked her location through facial recognition software and brought hired muscle to drag her back to her nightmare. The peaceful sanctuary Nathan had created shattered in moments as combat boots thundered across marble floors and shouted commands echoed through elegant rooms. Vincent had spent considerable money hiring former military contractors who specialized in extracting people from secure locations, treating Charlotte like stolen property. Nathan pulled Charlotte behind the reinforced kitchen counter as gunshots shattered his perfect artificial world and expensive artwork exploded in clouds of plaster. His security team scrambled to respond, while Vincent's voice echoed through the apartment with possessive rage that made Charlotte's blood run cold. "Charlotte, also known as Charlotte Williams, belongs to me," Vincent shouted with possessive rage and violent determination to reclaim his property. "She's my wife, and she's coming home where she belongs under my control. Nobody steals what's mine and lives to enjoy it without severe consequences." Nathan understood everything now, as he watched Charlotte tremble with traumatic memories that no amount of robotic programming could simulate or replicate. She'd risked everything to escape an abusive marriage, creating an elaborate disguise to disappear into a world where she could help someone else heal. Her deception hadn't been malicious, but desperate, born from terror and survival instincts honed through years of psychological and physical abuse. The irony that she'd found safety by pretending to be artificial while helping him rediscover his humanity wasn't lost on Nathan. "Stay behind me," Nathan whispered with fierce protectiveness, grabbing a baseball bat from his bedroom while calling for additional security backup. His protective instincts surprised him as he prepared to fight for someone he'd known for weeks, but felt connected to completely and authentically. The standoff lasted 20 terrifying minutes before police sirens announced help arriving from multiple directions throughout the city with reinforcements. Vincent retreated with his hired team when it became clear that Nathan's private security and law enforcement response would overwhelm their tactical advantage completely. Charlotte collapsed from emotional exhaustion and suppressed terror that had been building for months, her entire body shaking as adrenaline finally left her system. The artificial persona she'd maintained so carefully dissolved completely as human vulnerability took over, leaving her feeling exposed and defenseless against the world. Nathan's penthouse looked like a war zone with shattered glass covering expensive carpets and bullet holes decorating previously pristine walls and artwork. But he cared only about the broken woman in his arms, not the material damage that money could easily repair. Nathan held her as she cried, no longer caring about deception or broken trust that had initially stung his pride. "You saved my life by being here," he whispered into her hair with genuine gratitude. "Everything else is just details we can figure out together moving forward." Charlotte looked up at him with tear-filled eyes, amazed by his forgiveness and growing love despite her elaborate deception. "I was so afraid you'd hate me for lying about everything, even though I was trying to protect us both from danger and violence." "The truth is always better than perfect programming," Nathan said gently, helping her stand with careful support and understanding. "Besides, I fell in love with the person underneath the performance. Your kindness was real even when everything else was artificial programming and calculated responses." 3 months later, Charlotte testified against Vincent in federal court, while Nathan provided legal support, personal protection, and emotional strength through the entire grueling process. The courtroom proceedings forced her to relive traumatic memories, but justice demanded her courage and detailed testimony about years of abuse. Her ex-husband received a 15-year sentence for domestic violence, stalking, attempted kidnapping, and hiring armed mercenaries to commit felonious assault across state lines. The judge's harsh sentence reflected the severity of Vincent's crimes and the clear pattern of escalating violence that threatened multiple innocent people. Nathan had restructured his entire company as a non-profit organization supporting domestic violence survivors, using his wealth and technological resources to create safe spaces. The transformation from profit-driven corporation to humanitarian mission gave his life new purpose and meaning beyond accumulating wealth or proving business acumen to skeptical board members. Charlotte became the program director, using her first-hand experience and natural empathy to help other women find new identities and fresh starts. Her background in theater proved invaluable for teaching people how to temporarily alter their appearance and behavior when necessary for protection from dangerous pursuers. The organization developed cutting-edge security systems, safe houses with advanced monitoring, and employment programs that help survivors achieve financial independence and emotional healing. Together, they created something more meaningful than any business empire, proving that love could inspire world-changing compassion when channeled properly. Their wedding was small and private, attended by Dr. Chen, who'd become Charlotte's closest friend, and the security team who'd helped save their lives. Charlotte wore a simple white dress, finally able to be completely herself without fear, performance, or the need to hide her true identity. Nathan's vows included a promise to always choose human imperfection over artificial perfection. while Charlotte promised to never hide her true self again. Their love had grown from deception into something beautifully authentic and transformative, proving that genuine connection could overcome any obstacle or initial misunderstanding. Sometimes the most broken people find exactly what they need in each other, especially when they're brave enough to remove their masks and be vulnerable. What did you think of their journey from artificial programming to authentic love? Share your thoughts in the comments. Tap like if this story moved you, and don't forget to subscribe to Veil Drama for more unforgettable love stories.